Sentry mode activated. Target acquired.
Hey there hunters, and welcome back to the Gunners Guild. Now following up with the previous video that I covered with the raw ammunitions, we're going to be looking at slice, sticky, clusters, and elemental ammo bowguns today, and what has changed here in the 2.0 update. Now apologies for how long this has been to get out, there's a lot of stuff to test, a lot of procrastination, you know the drill. Anyway, we're going to start this off with slicing ammo because that really hasn't changed. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. It definitely changed at some point. I mean, the motion values went from 10x3 to 17x3. Not sure when, but it really did. So yeah, slice is really strong. Unfortunately, we don't get very many options for slice. Light bowgun only has one rapid fire slice bowgun, and that's the Zenogre's light bowgun. So you're pretty much gonna have to run rapid fire slice just because you can only carry 30 plus 30 more craftables, and that's not gonna be enough to get you through a hunt. Heck, even with spare shot, rapid fire slice is still not enough to clear a hunt in most cases. You're probably gonna need to rely on traps, pets, and backup ammo to get through a hunt with just slice ammo. Even so, slice is very strong and you should definitely use it. Not having to worry about critical distance or gunner hit zones is super nice. Light bowgun can also scale rapid fire slice and rapid fire up on top of its usual suspects for DPS, so yeah, it gets pretty nasty. If not for the fact that you're going to run out of ammo, this would hands down be the best ammo. Anyway, specifically for this bowgun, you kind of want to run ammo up and spare shot because its default clip size is 2, and that's going to lead to far too many reloads. Other than that, you're pretty much good to scale DPS normally. The Vichelm is really good here because it has ammo up 2 and a level 2 slot, and ammo up is a level 3 decoration, so trying to cram that on top of your rapid fire ups can be really difficult without this helmet or a great charm. Now heavy bowgun is a little interesting on the slice department. Magnum Malo's heavy bowgun is our go-to for slice because it has a clip size of 5, which is nasty. Now you can't really get through a hunt on slice alone, especially if you're single firing it, but since heavy bowgun can charge, you probably could if you really wanted to. Counter charge and focus can help reduce your charge time, but it's really not any better for DPS, it's just better for ammo efficiency. So while you can definitely do charge slice, I would just recommend using something else as backup like sticky and clusters or spreads or whatever. It's a lot faster just to throw out all the slice ammo as fast as you can and then swap to another ammo once you deplete it. Now slice in general is fantastic ammo, just be careful if it's limited quantities. Otherwise, shouldn't have any issues though. So let's go ahead and move on to explosive ammo. Now this is an interesting topic. A few things came up in regards to sticky, clustered, and wyvern ammo. First off is that eating for Feline Bombardier does not boost sticky damage at all. Yeah, I know it says that it specifically does so on the dongo, but it does not work. Also for wyvern ammo, Capcom specifically said that they fixed the bug where it would sometimes deal significantly less damage on hit, and that's a bold-faced lie, it's worse than ever. Charging wyvern ammo randomly does like a third of its damage on the primary and secondary hit, so instead of hitting for like 600 plus, you're doing like 150 or 200. It's really annoying because it happens like 30% of the time. So yeah, wyvern's kind of messed up and I can't really rely on it a whole lot, so rest in peace that and the Diablos heavy bowgun. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's talk about stickies. Now we all know stickies are great and an easy way to do damage because you don't have to rely on hit zones, but trust me, they aren't the fastest ammos around. Hell, they're not even the easiest ammo. I think slice deserves that spot. They are very useful though, especially in group settings where you can just KO chain a monster. The only thing I have to say about stickies is that you really shouldn't ever use anything besides sticky 3s because everything else is garbage, even rapid fire stickies. We went through this with Iceborne, we're not doing it in Rise. And stickies also have nowhere near enough ammo to get through a hunt on just the stickies, so you definitely need backup. And that's kind of why we get into clusters and wyvern because they all scale the same. So let's get into the sticky bowguns. Now the Tigrex heavy bowgun is still going to be my go-to for all explosives. It has great clip sizes for cluster 3, sticky 3, it can use wyvern, it's got wyvern heart, it's got spread 3s, pierce 3s, great raw, overall fantastic bowgun. That being said, we do have a new contender here, which is Teostra's artillery. While having less raw and smaller clip sizes for the cluster 3, it has one small nation that has the rampage skill for Teostra Soul, which increases sticky and cluster damage by 10%. So despite the low raw, it actually does hit slightly harder with its stickies and clusters. However, I'm not really sure that justifies its existence just yet. Sure, shot for shot, you're going to do like 2 more damage per sticky over Tigrex. I'm skeptical because it's got smaller clip sizes on other things and has a lack of supportive emmos, so I'm not really sure if I ever really want to use this. I don't think it's really worthwhile. Now really quick here, I do want to pause. For those who don't know, I play TA rules style of Monster Hunter where I can't use pets, traps, bombs, pods, or anything environmental. So I typically have to judge bowguns based on not being able to go back to town and restock, which is also against TA rules. So while I like a lot of bowguns like Teostras and cat cannons and slice, I typically don't use them because of the risk of unable to finish a hunt without restocking or using traps is kind of high. Anyway, getting back to this. Teostra's artillery is actually a really good bowgun for sticky clusters and all that stuff because it is just better, but I prefer to run Tyrix just because it's more flexible with its supportive MOs. Now Meteor Cannon is also a fine choice for Hame setups here in Rise. While its damage per shot is low, it does have access to autoload Para 2s and Sleep 2s, making it the only real status heavy bowgun we have right now. Though there is not much of a reason to use this unless you're doing group hunts and want to lock a monster with KO, Sleep, Para, traps, all that stuff. Or if you want to use a Sleep Wyvern setup, which is just awful now that the damage doesn't work properly on Wyvern. Still though, definitely worth a make, really good sticky bowgun. Now the armor sets for these are pretty much all the same since you can't really do much to scale explosives outside of raw and artillery. Though once you get artillery 3, you definitely want to grab ammo up and spare shot before you continue to pump your raw. Explosives have tiny clip sizes and very limited quantities of ammo, so you gotta get these skills to use them properly. After that, just scale attack. If you have even more room, peak performance is a good choice. Now your charm has to be different since we don't want weakness exploit or crit related skills. Solid attack charm or artillery charm, spare shot charm, anything with like 3 level 2s worth of slots and skills should just be fine. On the light bowgun side, we kind of have options, but not really. Basil Goose came in with the new sticky and cluster light bowgun, which is fine because it's also got some nice elemental ammo as backup and Para 2 on the clip 4, which is outstanding. That being said, it does have 20 less raw compared to Anjanath's, and it's down a level 2 slot, and the sticky 3s cannot get better than slow reload, which is pretty awful, so you can't even use this really as a primary sticky bowgun. So while it doesn't do anything better than Anjanath, it does have some really decent support ammo as well. I mean, they're pretty close in terms of damage. Up to you to decide if you want to do more damage per shot, or have all the backup Para 2s and elemental ammo, but also suffer with the sticky reload. I'm sticking with Anjanath's. Now armor sets here are pretty much the exact same thing as heavy bowguns, just make sure you have room for your elemental decos if you want to run fire or thunder on the Basil Goose light bowgun, but again, your choice. Now regarding clusters, nothing changed here. The only bowgun that has a chance of running just clusters is the cat cannon, but even then, good luck getting through a hunt without restocking or needing trap pets, all that stuff. Clusters do need the support, which is why we pair them with the other explosives like Tigerx bowgun, TO, Magnamalo, Basil Goose, Anjanath's, all that stuff. Cat Cannon is just the outlier here because it gets level shot clusters and it can dispatch them a lot faster. Okay, moving on to elemental ammo, the real talking part. There is a lot to talk about with elemental ammo because I usually don't cover it all that much. First, let's discuss elemental motion values for both standard and pierce element and their associated rates of fires and properties, stuff like that. Sorry, math. Now, elemental ammo scales differently from other elemental weapons. It's split into 2 motion values, a raw part which is 16 for standard element, 10 for pierce, and then the element side which is 40 and 22 respectively. When you get elemental up skills, you're actually increasing the elemental motion value. So elemental attack 5 being 20% plus 4 gives us 12 more elemental motion value on our standard shots, bringing us up to 52. And then we calculate our raw onto both sides of the motion value. So we're adding it to our raw and our elemental side. So if we have a 200 raw weapon, we're going to hit a target dummy for 32 damage as raw. Then the elemental side is going to give us 104 elemental damage, which will get reduced by a third because of the elemental hit zone, bringing it down to 31-ish. Now obviously the raw portion can be cut in half on most targets, but the point is that our raw on our elemental ammo is very important still, and we do have to scale it now since we don't have much else to scale as far as the elemental goes. Now we do have 4 different types of shot patterns for our elemental and elemental pierce ammo. Standard elemental ammo is simple with single shot and rapid fire options. The single shot are simple because they always fire the fastest recoil and fastest reload. So we can determine that with our 0.6 rate of fire that we have a 22.6 raw motion value per second and 66 motion value per second for our elemental damage. This is kind of our baseline. Now elemental ammo also gets a 3 burst volley on rapid fire, which makes that type of ammo have 33.6 raw motion value per second and 84 elemental motion value per second worth of damage. Assuming we have an adequate clip size on these rapid fire elements, like 4 or more, rapid fire elemental ammo is pretty much always going to beat our standard shots, so do keep that in mind. Now Elemental Pierce on the other hand have 10 raw motion value and 22 element per tick. So a single shot bowgun using these would have 16 raw motion value per tick per second and 36.6 elemental motion value per tick per second. It's kind of hard to imagine, I know, but you can reasonably get about 3 ticks on a monster, and just know that if you're doing good damage on a monster, Elemental Pierce is always pretty much going to beat standard shots. So moving on with that, now the rapid fire Elemental Pierce is a little different. First, that it's a 2 burst volley, which then gets them a 19 raw motion value per tick per second and 42 elemental motion value per tick per second. This is only slightly better than standard shooting of the Elemental Pierce, and the problem with this is that all our light bowguns that have rapid fire Elemental Pierce options have the same pattern of being a clip size 2, and it cannot walk and shoot, and it cannot reload and shoot. So because of this, our single shot Elemental Pierce tends to be our go-to since they have better clip sizes, usually around the 4 to 5 range. Okay, I know there's a lot to spew out all of a sudden, but it's important to realize, and it'll help us determine what bowguns we're going to be picking with the elemental MOs, because they're kind of all over the place right now. I do want to just highlight though that elemental MO is very strong in Rise, just not a whole lot of people are using them right now. Now with the 2.0 update, we're allowed to expand our sets much more, and Elemental got better because the Teostra and Kushala soul armor pieces also grant us 10% more damage as well. So yeah, they're good. So let's look at what bowguns we're going to be using for Elemental. For the fire MO, we're going to be using Rathalos Light Bowgun, hands down, no questions asked. Not only does it have rapid fire, but also has a clip 4 single shot of fire pierce, as well as having elemental exploit. It's just the bee's knees of fire bowguns. Now heavy bowgun, we can use Rachna Kadachi for fire pierce as well. But here's the funny thing about that, light bowgun's still stronger. On Chameleos, the only reason why we're running heavy bowgun is because the extra raw and crit boost on the heavy bowgun side helps us scale the damage across all the ticks where we don't have good elemental hit zones. So yeah, heavy bowgun tends to be a bit higher overall, but light bowgun actually does more damage on the good elemental hit zones. So yeah, fun times. For the water, we're going to be using a Muldrin's Light Bowgun, obviously for elemental exploit as well. This bowgun has a really nice clip size for water and water pierce. Unfortunately, only rapid fire water light bowgun we have is Giratota's, which has a clip size of 2 on that, so we're just tossing that out. So a Muldrin's, no rapid fire water. Heavy bowgun can actually manage with a rampage bowgun if you really wanted to run water pierce, since it gets a clip size of 4 on the pierce water MO, and the raw is actually pretty solid on these things with attack surge on. Since negative crits only affect the raw portion of our damage, not a big deal to have negative 30% affinity in exchange for some flat raw. The problem with these bowguns is that since they have no slots, it's really hard to actually make sets for these. You're gonna have to have a really good charm. Now Ice MO is also in a bit of a weird state right now, so you can run rapid fire ice on Gosarog's Light Bowgun, but even with max reload, you can't get the fastest reload speed, so you're actually going to be losing a bit of DPS there. And we don't have a good Ice Pierce Light Bowgun. Barioth has it on rapid fire with clip 2, and of course no walk and shoot or no walk and reload, so that's kind of bad. Kushala kind of stands out because it has a clip size of 2, which is bad, but it also has the rampage skill for its affinity boost, so that's kind of good. But I think the clip size kind of kills it here, so I'm not really interested in using it. The only target I can even see this being usable on anyway is Diablos. I mean, I'll have to give it a try, but it still just doesn't look good to me. Heavy bowgun can run the Barioth Heavy Bowgun since it's got great overall stats and a clip of 5 of Ice Pierce MO. Nothing really bad to say here, good option. Thunder Light Bowgun, also kind of weird. Light Bowgun has 2 rapid fire Thunder Bowgun options in Kizu and Rajang. Now obviously Rajang's going to hit a bit harder since it's got more raw, and it has Sticky 3 for KO and Para 2 if you need it. So if you want to run just standard rapid fire Thunder, probably use Rajang's. However, Kizu has a really nasty clip for Thunder Pierce MO as well, and has access to Sleep 2 and Para 2s, and Spread 3s if you really wanted to switch the Rampage skill out. So if the monster is like Mizu, where it's long and weak to Thunder, definitely recommend running Kizu with Elemental Pierce over Rajang for Thunder. Now there is no good Thunder Heavy Bowgun unfortunately, so if you want to run it, you're going to have to use the Rampage Bowgun again. Just slap on Thunder MO instead. It's still solid, it's 30 raw over Tobi Kadachi's Heavy Bowgun, and that thing still doesn't have any other good skills either. So again, hard set to make, but if you really want to do it, run Rampage. Dragon is kind of a joke right now since we can only carry 13 rounds. Now Heavy Bowgun has a small niche in that it can do charged Dragon ammo against like Narwhal, Dread Queen, and like the Wrath family. That's literally it, and that's pretty much exclusively used for like Hame speedruns. Now Magdamal is the only good use of Dragon ammo that I can see as well, so Mango just being Mango over here. I would not recommend building around Dragon, it's not really worth the effort because it's super niche. Okay, that was a lot to cover. Now we need to go over some basic armor sets for elemental gunning, because you're going to need a ton of level 1 decorations for the elemental skills and our reload and recoil skills. Thankfully, the only level 3 decoration skills we really need are MO up, so because of every elemental type having different bowguns and different pieces that come out with elemental stuff on them, we're going to be shuffling around our armor pieces kind of a lot. But all that stuff's flashing on the screen, let's just kind of talk about that and our priorities for set building. So first and foremost, we need MO up and spare shot. Elemental clip sizes are typically low and reloading wastes a lot of time and DPS, so we need to make sure we have MO up and spare shot to conserve our MO and our reloads. Then we can get an elemental attack up 5 skills as well as our reload and recoil skills, and hopefully you have enough to get it down to low recoil and fastest reload for elemental MO. You don't have to stack like 3 and 3 recoil reload, you can do like 1 and 2 of them. Just make sure you're checking your tables as you're adding them in. This is more important on elemental gunning since we need all the level 1 slots we can get. Now after that we can fill in the rest of our skills like attack boost, crit, wex, and crit boost. Attack boost is hugely important since it's going to scale both sides of our damage, but if you have the gear in the slots, you should be able to run 75% affinity and better, and then run crit boost and crit element, stuff like that. That might pan out, but it's kind of hard to gear in right now. It's probably just a lot easier to slap on attack 7 or wex and crit boost or wex crit eye, stuff like that, but trying to get 100% crit and crit ele for 15% elemental damage only, it's kind of a waste in my eye. Now your charms are going to vary a lot as well in these sets. Something like Spare Shot 2 and a level 2 deco slot will work, or a level 3 slot, MO up, stuff like that is going to cover most of your equipments. You might need some specialized charms like Elemental Attack up if you're going to be using a lot of recoil and reload skills as well. You're definitely going to have to slap your charms into an armor builder and kind of see what you can work with. Typically though, the good rule of thumb is 2 level 2 slots and 2 level 1 slots of any skills will probably get you through most of what you need. Okay, so again, yeah, I know there's a lot to talk about, I'm sorry. Alternate MOs are fairly complicated and also very, very good in Rise. I'm pretty sure all MO types besides Shrapnel Normal and obviously Status are serviceable in runs, to at least some moderate efficiency. I mean, sure, there's always going to be an optimal matchup, but I think all the MOs can get the job done on a timely manner. And that's actually what excites me a lot about Bowguns. There's just a lot of ways to tackle a hunt. So I'm pretty excited for Bowguns right now. Hopefully we get to finish these Elder weapons on the next update. But other than that, that's pretty much it for me. So thank you all for watching and good luck out there, hunters, and whatever you may be hunting.